How is it going, Data Bytes? Is No Data here, and welcome back to another episode of Roblox Assassin. Today on Assassin, we are doing something a little bit different. Now, I've made a lot of top 10 lists on Assassin, like top 10 best knives, top 10 exotics, top 10 mythics. But this isn't quite like those, ladies and gentlemen. This list is really going to be in no particular order. And this video is going to be 10 things that you didn't know about Roblox Assassin. So basically, this video is all about random Roblox Assassin trivia. So in this video, we are going to be listing 10 Roblox Assassin facts that you probably do not know. So this list is going to have some pretty obscure Assassin trivia that I feel like most players probably do not know. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that you personally won't know it. I'd imagine some people watching this video are going to know a lot of facts that are in this video. So I want you guys to watch the video all the way through, look at all the facts, and I want you to comment down below which facts you already knew. I highly doubt that someone knows all 10 of these. I find that to be pretty unlikely, but comment down below what facts you knew or didn't know. If there are some facts that you did not know in this video, comment that down below, and hopefully you can learn some pretty interesting things from this video. If you guys are excited for this episode of Roblox Assassin, then be sure to drop a like on this video. Helps out a whole lot. Also, guys, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe for more Assassin videos in the future. Anyway, without further ado, let us begin with the facts. So our first fact is going to be about the Elegant Blade and the Champion Blade. So let's start with the Elegant Blade. The Elegant Blade was the first ever top 100 prize to be in Roblox Assassin competitive mode. This is currently the best exotic in the game, and it's actually the best knife in the game if you exclude the champion weapons. If you do not count the 4 champion weapons, the Elegant Blade is actually the best knife in the game. But what you might not know about the Elegant Blade is that it wasn't always called the Elegant Blade. So if we go into Prisman's Roblox inventory, which has recently been blocked for people who are not on his friends list, Prisman's Roblox inventory was kind of the old way to see leaks from Assassin. You know, if an update was in the works, a lot of people would look in Prisman's inventory to see the knives. And by looking at this inventory, we can actually gain some pretty interesting Assassin trivia. And from this inventory, we can actually find out the original name of the Elegant Blade. And this name might surprise a couple of you guys. So the original name of the Elegant Blade was going to be Competitor Blade. Now, if this name sounds familiar, that's because this is the name of the second top 100 prize, the Competitor Blade. So yeah, pretty interesting that the Elegant Blade was originally going to be called the Competitor Blade. That's kind of interesting. Personally, I like the name change. I feel like Elegant Blade is a better name for, you know, the Elegant Blade. And it's good to know that Prisman used that name later down the road for the second prize. But now let's move on to the Champion Blade. The Champion Blade was the first ever top 10 prize for Assassin competitive mode. And this is currently the best knife in the game, period. This is the rarest and most expensive knife in the entire game. The only difference between the Champion Blade and the Elegant Blade is that the Champion Blade actually has a purple gem instead of a blue one. However, what if I told you that the Champion Blade did not always look like that, ladies and gentlemen? Again, if we go into Prisman's inventory, you will see that the Champion Blade was originally going to have a yellow gem instead of a purple gem. So that, again, is pretty interesting. That is sort of the original Champion Blade. It's unknown why Prisman changed the gem from yellow to purple, but as a purple lover myself, I definitely, you know, prefer the change. But I bet there's going to be a handful of people out there who would have preferred the Champion Blade to be yellow. So, I don't know. Comment down below what you think about that fact. Moving on to fact number 2, we are going to talk about competitive mode itself. Now, competitive mode nowadays isn't actually all that different from the normal classic mode. The only difference is you can get competitive points and get some prizes in there, and then of course there is a competitive leaderboard. But back in the first couple of seasons in competitive mode was actually completely different from classic mode, and there were many differences between competitive mode and classic mode. So I actually got my Champion Blade in the first ever competitive season, and back then in the original competitive mode there were no radios allowed, no pets allowed, no trading allowed, which was crazy. It was crazy that you weren't able to trade at all, and you couldn't even chat during the rounds. Like, once you returned to the lobby, you were able to chat with people, but once a round started, the chat was gone. The chat just straight up got deleted until you died or the round ended. It was kind of crazy how limited competitive mode was back then, but over time, Prisman just allowed all the classic mode stuff to be in competitive mode. So now we have pets and radios and trading. I'm especially happy that trading got added into competitive mode, because back then it's like people wanted to trade, but you couldn't trade, so you had to friend somebody and then go to a classic server to trade with them. It was just a pain in the butt. For our third fact, we are going to be talking about the elementals. Now, when I say elementals, a lot of you guys are probably thinking about the elemental mythics: wind elemental, earth elemental, water elemental, and fire elemental. And those elementals are still in the game today. But what if I told you that there was another set of elementals and they were actually exotics? A very, very, very long time ago in Assassin, there were elemental exotics: water, earth, fire, and air. All of these were exotics that you could get in the cases. Now, this was very, very old, so the actual method to getting the elementals isn't necessarily clear. However, there seem to have been a couple of cases where you could actually get these exotics. During this time, there was actually a limited time case that was more expensive than the elite case, and that would give you a guaranteed exotic. Kind of like the Aurora case, except it was limited. You could actually get the elemental exotics from this case along with possessed axe. And these exotics didn't really look all that special. They kind of just looked like knife reskins. They kind of just looked like reskins of basic knives, kind of like how commons and rares and legendaries kind of look. However, one day these elemental exotics were deleted from the game. They were completely removed. To this day, nobody really knows why Prisman did that, but the elemental exotics were gone for good. And if you had that in your inventory, it would be deleted and replaced with the Corrupted Axe. Corrupted Axe was also an unboxable exotic during the time, but yeah, all of the elemental exotics transformed into Corrupted Axes. So that's pretty interesting. If you have a Corrupted Axe in your inventory, it might have been an elemental exotic at some point. You don't really know. For our fourth fact, we are going to be talking about Case 4. I hate Case 4. This is my least favorite case in Roblox Assassin. And to any unsuspecting player, it would just look like a normal case. It wouldn't look like there was anything special, you know. There's a couple commons, some rares, about 2 legendaries and 1 exotic, you know, just like any other case. You know, what's so bad about Case 4? Well, believe it or not, before Case 4, there were actually some pretty rare unobtainable knives that were going up in value pretty quickly. We had Bubblegum and Pop, which were rares, and Sand, which was a common, and all of these were pretty rare and hard to find. Bubblegum, Pop, and Sand had pretty good value, but then Case 4 came along and they added Bubblegum, Pop, and Sand to those cases. A lot of you guys probably know about Spectrum and Static. You know, those are some pretty rare knives that are, you know, of the rare tier. Those are pretty hard to find and quite valuable, and Bubblegum and Pop used to be in that family of rares, you know, like Spectrum and Static. But unfortunately, they got added into Case 4. Nobody really knows why. If it wasn't for Case 4, Sand might actually be competing with Coal for the rarest common in the game. But unfortunately, Case 4 added those knives, and those knives dropped in value hard. And now they are basically just normal rares and commons that you can unbox. And it's kind of a shame because they had so much value, and it's like you wasted so much if you traded for Bubblegum and Pop before Case 4 existed. But there was something pretty interesting about Case 4 that I honestly like. There was another common in Case 4, and it was water. That's right, the exact same water that was one of the elemental exotics. So that is pretty interesting. The water was once an exotic, and now it's a common in Case 4. Now, even though water did technically drop in value because, you know, it was once an exotic and now it's a common, I'm not really mad about this one because, you know, it was once deleted and it became a Corrupted Axe. and now it's just added back into the game as a common. So I'm not really mad about that as I am with Bubblegum Pop and Sand. So it's pretty interesting that water eventually got added back into Assassin. However, fire, earth, and air are still not in the game. So it makes you wonder if they're ever going to be added in the future. While we're talking about case 4, I should also mention that the binary, I believe, was also a code knife at some point. I'm not sure if it was tradable though, so I don't really want to talk about it too much because I don't remember much about binary, but that was also unobtainable back then, so it's also kind of a shame that it also got added in. For our 5th fact, we are going to be talking about the MLG knife. Now, you can still get this, you can still trade for it as a legendary, but it's a pretty underwhelming knife. It basically just says MLG with some text on it. But originally, when this knife first came out, the MLG actually looked like this. So it was much better. It was a rainbow-ish knife with a lot of logos on it. It looked pretty cool. And this was the design of MLG for a pretty long time. However, the problem with this knife is it had some copyrighted logos. Unfortunately, Prisman ran into some copyright issues with this MLG knife, so unfortunately he was forced to change the design of MLG into this, and it's really not as good as the original MLG design. According to Prisman, this design is temporary. However, it's been at least a year since we have had this MLG design, and it doesn't seem like he's going to be changing it anytime soon. And while we're on the topic of MLG, the crafting recipe for this knife was rainbow, Doritos, and Mountain Dew. Now you're probably wondering, what the heck are Doritos and Mountain Dew? I've never seen those knives. And Doritos and Mountain Dew are actually still in the game, but unfortunately their names have changed, and again, because of copyright. All right, Doritos is a brand and Mountain Dew is a brand, and again, Prisman ran into copyright issues with these names, and he had to change the name of Doritos and Mountain Dew to Deep Orange and Green Rush respectively. So yeah, Doritos is now called Deep Orange and Mountain Dew is now called Green Rush, but you can still get these knives in case 2. And I should also point out that long before this, there was another version of MLG, and this is a very, very old design. It looks like this. And I believe this is an old VIP reward, if I'm not mistaken, but don't quote me on that. And I believe this design of MLG was actually a rare, whereas the current MLG is a legendary. Our 6th fact is going to talk about the Roblox Assassin Halloween 2017 event. Now, this is a pretty memorable event, Halloween 2017. This is where we got Pumpkin King and Lord Sinister and the Zombie Legendary. There was a lot to this event. But what a lot of people don't remember about this Assassin event is this was the first and only Assassin event that was integrated with a Roblox event. Roblox loves to take events and integrate them into games that already exist. A very popular example is Ready Player One, where, you know, Jailbreak got involved in it. You know, you had to go to Jailbreak to get one of the crowns. A lot of popular games usually get that sort of event eventually. And for Assassin, it was in Halloween of 2017 where we had the Nightmare Before Blocktober event. This was kind of the Halloween 2017 Roblox event. And if you actually completed the missions during this event, you would actually get the Guise of the Sand hats. So you would actually get a hat by playing in this Roblox Assassin event. This event was also sponsored by the popular Marvel movie Thor Ragnarok. So back in the day, Thor Ragnarok was a pretty new movie, and if you actually went through the process of getting the Zombie Legendary knife during this event, you would actually get another hat, which is Thor's helmet, which is pretty self-explanatory. That is the helmet that Thor actually wears in the movie. We've had a handful of Roblox events that were sponsored by Marvel movies. I think the most popular of which would probably be the Egg Hunt of 2019, which was sponsored by Avengers Endgame, where you would get a handful of Avengers eggs, and then if you collect them all, you would eventually get the Infinity Gauntlet. So yeah, if you ever see somebody who is wearing Thor's helmet or the Guise of Sand, they are officially OG Assassin players 100% because they had to play Assassin during 2017 to get that hat. Either that or they just joined Assassin for a couple minutes to get those hats and then left. I don't know, either one. So this next fact is going to talk about a bundle that never quite came to be. So as you guys know, Assassin has had a lot of bundles over the years, and the bundles started around June of 2017, that's where we got the first ever Magic bundle. And in August 2017, there was some stuff in Prisman's inventory that hinted toward another bundle. Now again, keep in mind, during this time, anybody could actually look at Prisman's inventory. And by looking at Prisman's inventory, it looks like we were going to get an 8-bit bundle of some kind. So for the exotic, we were going to get an exotic called 8-bit, and it was a nice pixelated sword, and it looked pretty cool. The pet would have been a Pixel Phoenix, so it's basically just a pixelated version of the Phoenix pet that we all know and love. And there was also a pixel effect. Now, we don't know what exactly this was going to do, but it was presumably going to turn people into pixels. And this bundle was in Prisman's Roblox inventory, and it was ready to go. But unfortunately, copyright once again stepped in and prevented this bundle from happening. So apparently the 8-bit exotic looks too similar to the Minecraft Iron Sword, which I definitely do see the resemblance. But unfortunately, because of this copyright issue, this 8-bit bundle never came to be. So it was scrapped, and we never saw 8-bit in the game ever. Now, what frustrates me is this exact bundle ended up being in Murder Mystery 2. So that's kind of frustrating. Like, Murder Mystery 2 has the Minecraft Iron Sword, it has the Pixel Phoenix, and it has the pixel effect. And Prisman was going to do the same thing for Assassin, but unfortunately, copyright didn't work out for him, I guess, which is kind of frustrating because, again, Nicholas got away with it and Prisman didn't. So for fact number 8, we are going to talk about the stuff that you get from VIP. Now, currently, if you buy VIP, you get a Crystal Blade exotic knife, a Crystal Skull exotic pet, and a Crystallize effect. So that is pretty cool. It is a pretty cool prize, but what if I told you that there were some earlier prizes? So prior to the summer 2018 update, the stuff that you would actually get from buying VIP is a Fool's Gold legendary knife, a Doge rare pet, and the Midas touch effect, and that would basically turn people into gold. So that is pretty cool. Those are kind of the old VIP prizes. And unfortunately, I made the big mistake when I started playing Assassin. I crafted my Fool's Gold into an exotic. And I haven't had it since. Fool's Gold is still not tradable, which really frustrates me. I hope that Fool's Gold becomes tradable in the near future so that I will be able to trade for it. And then in Prisman's inventory, we also have this knife called VIP. So this is sort of a rainbow-ish knife. And I believe this was the older VIP prize before Fool's Gold, but nobody really knows what happened to it. On to fact number 9, we're talking about the Clam Prizes. Now, there are some pretty interesting facts about the Clam Prizes. So currently, at the time of this recording, the prizes that you get from clans are Diamond Challenger and Onyx Champion. If you're in a top 25 clan, you will get the Diamond Challenger, and if you're in a top 10 clan, you will get the Onyx Champion. However, these are actually not the original names of these knives. Again, if we go into Prisman's inventory, you will see that the original names of these prizes were going to be Diamond Tier 2 and Onyx Tier 2. So yeah, those were the original names of the current Clam Prizes. And obviously, these are based off of the previous Clam Prizes. Before Diamond Challenger and Onyx Champion, you would get the Diamond Tier and the Onyx Tier for being in a top 25 or top 10 clan. So yeah, they were originally called Diamond Tier 2 and Onyx Tier 2, but their names were changed to be a little bit more unique. And while we are on the topic, believe it or not, the Diamond Tier and the Onyx Tier were originally legendaries. That is right, guys. As you can see right here, these are the original designs of the Diamond Tier and the Onyx Tier. They were originally legendaries. However, people did not really like these prizes. They felt pretty underwhelming for a leaderboard prize. People believe that they should get exotics or mythics. So Prisman did listen, and he eventually changed the Diamond Tier and the Onyx Tier. But if you were one of the first clans to get on the leaderboard, you actually had these legendaries in your inventory for a little while before they transformed into, you know, an exotic and a mythic. It was during this transition that the Diamond Tier and the Onyx Tier were actually tradable for a couple of hours. So that was pretty interesting. You know, some people were able to trade away their prizes. And then they became untradeable, and they're sadly still not tradable till this day. I do hope that the Diamond tier and the Onyx tier become tradable in the near future. I should also point out that the Diamond tier was originally going to be rewarded to the top 50 clans, but instead Prisma decided to make it for the top 25 clans, so it was a little bit harder. Instead of top 50, you had to be top 25. And finally, for our last fact about Roblox Assassin, we are going to be talking about emotes. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. Roblox Assassin used to have emotes, much like Murder Mystery 2. You know, that game kind of has emotes where you can sit and, you know, take your head off and do a bunch of stuff. Believe it or not, Assassin actually had some similar emotes that you could buy with tokens. So the first emote was /eSit for about 500 tokens. You could buy that, and then if you typed in /eSit, you would sit down. And it was pretty cool. You could just sit down in Roblox Assassin. And then there was the flip emote for 5,000 tokens. Now this one was a little bit different. If you bought the flip emote, you would actually flip every time you jumped. Literally every time you jumped, you would have this flip animation. And it was kind of cool, but it was also kind of unbalanced. For one thing, it was a lot harder to kill people who were flipping. It was a lot harder to just hit them because their hitboxes were kind of changed because, you know, their body is flipping. Instead of like actually jumping, it was harder to hit them. And also that animation led to quite a few glitches. So a lot of people could glitch out of the map and then the round would never end because you couldn't kill the person who glitched out of the map. So in February 2017, Prisman actually removed the emotes and everybody who bought those emotes got refunded their tokens. I do kind of miss the emotes. I don't miss the flip emote. That was honestly really stupid to deal with. But yeah, guys, that is 10 things that you probably did not know about Roblox Assassin. Again, let me know in the comments which facts you actually knew. And if you want another video like this, let me know. I can probably go through Prisman's inventory and probably find more Assassin trivia for you guys. So let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Roblox Assassin. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all those other things that YouTube people do. And I will see you guys in the next video. Stay purple.